financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is not a fun one. I have a serious tax problem. Help. Jenny Lingl, our tax expert. You're on the spot today for this one.
I am a hot seat today.
Pat Samasker, good to have you back.
Thank you. I'm here.
Brian Small.
Always a pleasure, Ken.
All right, let's get to it. We're going to focus today on a problem that is often faced by the business person when the business is faltering. It is the failure to pay payroll taxes. And it's a serious problem. In theory, it's one that should not occur. In reality, and this is law and reality, is it occurs on a frequent basis when companies are faltering. Now, Jenny, what are payroll taxes?
Okay. So when you're the owner of a business, you often have employees, and you often pay your employees by W-2, which is how you should be paying them. And there's Social Security, there's Medicare, there's federal taxes, federal withholding taxes, there's also state taxes and then sales taxes depending on the type of business that you're in. So the payroll taxes are those business taxes that, with respect to, let's say, the Internal Revenue Service, your quarterly 941s, your Social Security, Medicare, and the federal withholding all have to get paid into the Internal Revenue Service.
All right, now I'm a business owner, so I'm familiar with this. There's two components, right?
Yes.
The employee has to contribute his own Medicare, his own Social Security, and he has withholding for his federal and state for his income taxes.
Correct.
But as the employer, I have to match the FICA, which is the Social Security, and the Medicare tax. What happens when that doesn't get paid? What am I responsible for if my business goes under? Can I be held personally liable if the business doesn't pay those taxes?
Absolutely. The corporate officers, office managers, anybody that had control.
Whoa. What do you mean office managers?
Yes. I would say with the Internal Revenue Service, anybody who is a signatory on the bank account, plus other individuals.
Whoa.
So don't think you can try and get around it just by only having the secretary as a signatory, can be held personally responsible for what they call the trust fund. Now, you mentioned the matching portion. So as the employer, you match the Social Security and Medicare, and just for making it simple, it's about 15%. So that's 7.5% you pay, about 7.5% the employee pays.
But let's make sure everybody understands. While it's the employee paying it, because you're a W-2 employee, it's the employer's responsibility to withhold it from the paycheck and submit it to the government on behalf of the employee.
Right. The employee looks at their check weekly by weekly, whenever they get it, and they see that they've had Social Security, Medicare, federal withholding, and state withholding withheld. However, they're not pushing the button to say, okay, send that to the proper taxing authorities. The employer holds that in trust and is supposed to be sending that over based on the deposit schedule.
That's why the IRS gets so mad, because they're withholding other people's money.
So let me ask you a question. If I'm the employee and my money's withheld, and then the employer doesn't send it in, do I lose credit, or
No.
do I still get credit for my Social Security?
You still get credit, which is why I think it becomes such an important thing for the Internal Revenue Service to assess that trust fund, because those employees are still getting their refunds, they're still getting their Social Security credits, whether you actually send in that payment or not.
All right, so here's the big consequence of why it's such a serious matter, is it's a trust, and the employer is being entrusted with that money that he's withholding from the employee to pay it over to the government. He doesn't. He takes the money and uses it for his expenses.
Right.
So can he then discharge that in bankruptcy, Brian?
So certain types of obligations owed to the government for taxes are dischargeable. Income taxes may be dischargeable.
Oh, so I can just discharge this then?
No,
No.
these are not income taxes. These are payroll taxes. These are trust fund taxes.
Oh.
But I wanna
These are
say-
never
Dischargeable.
in
But I
bankruptcy.
want to back up to what Pat said. It's not really stealing. I don't look at my clients who haven't paid this as stealing, because typically what happens is they're trying to keep the business afloat. They don't want to cut their employees because they don't want to put people out of a job, and the taxes sometimes take the longest to get to. If you're a restaurant and you don't pay for the food,
Right.
your supplier stopped
You're
delivering.
the
Robbing
restaurant.
Peter to pay Paul.
You got to pay rent. You got to pay utilities, and when things are going bad, you're on COD for all of your food.
Right.
And then you got to pay your employees.
Right.
So
Now there's no money left, and your payroll tax depository is due on Friday.
Right.
What do?
Don't pay.
Right, absolutely. They're not paying. And
what-
often they're not paying themselves either,
Right.
which a lot of times I have to turn it back to the IRS. And when they're very angry and coming aggressively at my clients, I'll say, they paid the employees, they paid the businesses. Yes, they didn't pay you, but no, they weren't stealing. Look, they didn't even pay themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's the
The
point.
IRS thinks they're stealing it though.
Well,
No,
the
they're
IRS
just creatively borrowing it without getting permission.
It depends on the situation.
At a
Out of
really
every
high
10
interest.
a
situations,
really high interest rate.
if I took 10 situations, I'd probably say I have 1 out of 10 clients who I would look at and they would acknowledge that, yeah,
kinda
we were playing a game here. But the
Yeah.
majority, it just happens.
I mean,
Well, they
here's how-
think that
here's
if
how
their
the-
business is going to take off, and
The government looks at it, and a financial advisor looks at it and says, if you can't afford to pay your payroll taxes, close the business down.
Right.
Because the liability for the trust fund, just the trust fund portion, plus interest and penalty, is personal to the people in charge and non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. But the practicality of it is it's so difficult. If you own your own business and you're dependent on that business for your family's livelihood, plus the the people that are working for you, when that first depository comes due and you don't have the money, you sit there and say, business will get better,
Right.
I'll catch up.
Right.
And you keep then trying to catch up. So you miss the fourth quarter. Then you miss the first quarter of the following year. And then all of a sudden, you're behind a year and a half in payroll taxes. And then what do?
borrow
Then
from
you-
your mom.
Then you're a little bit slow in filing your returns
Yeah.
because you're worried as soon as you file those returns, the government's going to assess you the taxes, and all of a sudden it's going to be a problem. So the issue is, how do you address it? We're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got the person sitting right across from me
Brian
who's going
Small.
to tell us how to address
That'll
it.
be Jenny.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, so we know these payroll taxes are non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. It's a big, serious problem. What do we do?
Wait. Just before we know that they're non-dischargeable, but if you're personally assessed, Chapter 13 is an option to control repaying them.
We haven't gotten to the
over time.
options just yet, Brian.
I understand that. You're going to talk about all your options, but we had mentioned bankruptcy. I want people
I think
to...
Brian was feeling like a little bit foreclosed on this segment.
Foreclosed? No, we can stop foreclosure with a Chapter 13.
I got something to say too later on.
Brian, you're always on my mind in my meetings.
Good
Don't
point
worry.
about Chapter 13. So what's the basic plan? How do we have to go out of business?
No, absolutely not. So the first thing that I talk to when I meet with the client is, even if you can't pay anything towards your back taxes, if I said let's readjust and realign this business, maybe we slim down some of the employees or slim down some of the expenses, could you pay your current taxes? If the answer is yes, and they could still make money, then what we do at that point is we would set the business up on an installment agreement or an offer in compromise. The IRS will, no matter what the business does, assess the trust fund penalty if it's not going to be paid off in the short term and under $10,000.
But will they defer making you pay on it while the business catches up?
They used to do that more often than they will now, only because they don't typically continue to have control over the file.
Well, that was my question, also a little bit different. You've got the IRS saying, all right, look, the business is functioning right now. It can pay its taxes on a going forward basis. There's no money to pay the back taxes. Will the IRS continue to allow that business to operate and stay in business if they stay compliant on a going forward basis?
Absolutely. I have a bar right now that owes $400,000, has very little assets. Revenue officer came to me and said, well, we want to seize assets, we want to close the bar down. I provided all the financials. We got current, closed out uncollectible, and will likely ride out the statute in uncollectible.
And still continuing to operate.
And they're still continuing
but they're
to
staying current on their taxes now.
Absolutely. That's kind of the key.
Right. Let's do a case study to illustrate this. Jack and Mary, and it just so happens Jack owns Jack's Bistro. So we've got a restaurant bar. It's a nice restaurant, great food, terrific service. The problem was they didn't have enough business to cover the overhead for a period. Jack fell behind in his payroll taxes. First, it was only $5,000 from the first quarter of 2015. But then it added up. Second quarter, $10,000. Third quarter, $7,000. Fourth quarter, $15,000. 2016, he didn't pay $45,000. 2017, he didn't pay $40,000. He owes $122,000 in payroll taxes. Now, the first question is, am I just making up a story that could never happen, or is this a practical, real-life story?
I see this every day.
How long can Jack keep going not paying the payroll taxes before IRS catches up with him?
Well, unfortunately, and fortunately, depending on which side you look at it, it can go a very, very long time. Right now, government personnel is quite limited. So they're not able to work all of these cases.
So that means they'll never
timely.
catch us?
No, they will.
They'll catch you.
It just sometimes means that I find a lot of people, I say, I wish you would have come to me a year ago because we could have aligned things a little bit better for when you do get caught and when you are assigned, so that we have a plan.
See, all the Jacks out there that are listening to this, you don't want it. The takeaway is not, it's going to take a long time for the government to catch up with you, so continue to not pay the payroll taxes, stash the cash,
That's not
and
the good
live
idea.
high off the
Don't
hog.
wait until
That's
they
not
knock
a
on
good
the
idea.
door.
If you can,
Not the good idea.
but if you saved up enough, you could buy an island in the Caribbean someplace and retire.
As long as you never come back. And you have to, and it is true, foreign governments do not honor tax debts of, that's a truism. But that's a whole different
That's
story
a different
and
show.
in a different game plan. So let's do two roads for Jack. Let's assume he's going to stay, he wants to stay in business, what does he do? And then I want to come back after that and address it. What if he decides Jack can't make the bistro, there's not enough business, and he shuts it down, and he's stuck with this liability? How does he get rid of it? All right, so he wants to stay in business. What do you do for him?
So the first thing that we do is we get him making his current tax deposit. So Jack comes in, he sits down, and I say, when's your next tax deposit due? And he says, well, I just missed one yesterday. It's due in 2 weeks. So we work through it and see if there's a way to get him to be able to make that in 2 weeks. And then we prepare some paperwork.
While this is going on, is IRS on your case at this point? Are you dealing with a collection officer, or are you dealing with this government bureaucracy on a computer? How is it going?
The business will always be assigned to the field. The problem,
which means what?
Which means a local revenue officer.
The revenue man.
So
Right.
are you like personal friends with all these revenue officers so that they go easy on us? I'm trying to make you laugh.
Well, I mean, they're great people. They're trying, for the most part, I think they're trying to do their job, and I find my job is to make their job easier, which makes my client's life a lot easier.
That is
And you
absolutely
make their job
true.
easy by solving the problem?
By solving the problem and knowing what it takes to solve the problem. There's certain things you have to tick off. You have to make your current tax deposit. You have to be filing compliant. I have to submit a request for a collection alternative that meets a few
requirements?
Yeah, requirements there. If I do that, then they are forced to put the case on hold. And from that point, they have to review what I've submitted, and they have to accept it, reject it, or counter. And if they don't accept it, then I have the ability to go to an independent reviewer, and I get my ducks in a row, and we do that, and we kind of drag it out until we get a solution that makes sense.
See, now, if you guys out there are listening to this and watching this, this is an example of how you solve a problem working within a system, understanding it so that you dot the I's, cross the T's, and put all the right things in the right spots so that the government has to go along with you. The concept of working outside of the system,
burying your head in the sand,
burying your head in your sand, or having someone coming in who's professing to be, oh, don't worry, I beat the government up all the time. That's a fallacy. The way in which Jenny makes it work is she knows the system, so she makes the system work for her and for the system, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
The government's real goal is to collect the taxes.
No.
You tell me.
Their real goal is to get you in compliance and get you on a collection alternative.
There you go. After the break, we're going to see what happens if he closes the business down.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. Want to remind our viewers to listen to us Tuesdays 10 a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, 93.5, 98.3, and 99.9 FM. And then on Saturdays, 11 o'clock a.m. for Law and Reality Here and Now on WMUZ AM 1200. Be sure and sign up for our free contest. every month, free $50 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and copy of Dump Your Debt. Just go to the Law and Reality website, click on the link to sign up, and you're in. We have seminars coming up. On Wednesday, September 26th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., September is the time for my debt to fall. We're going to go through all the methods we use to preserve future income for you and your family. Solutions using bankruptcy, solutions outside of bankruptcy. Jenny Lingl is going to participate and give us a special segment on how to resolve tax issues. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. All of our seminars are free. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or do it the old-fashioned way and call 888-235-HELP. Then on Wednesday, October 17th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., we have a seminar called Estate Planning is Not an Option. We're going to go over all the elements of an estate plan, documents you must have while you're living, documents addressing issues after you pass away, how to address probate issues. Jeff Linden's going to join us along with Brian Small and myself. Attendees receive a $300 gold certificate off of the cost of an estate plan. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. You can always come into THAV GROSS for a free consultation. You want to remember to do that. Go to the website, thavgross.com, lawandreality.com. You want to meet with Pat Samasco on elder law issues, Brian Small on estate planning issues, financial crisis issues, Jenny Lingl on tax issues, with me on business issues, Jeff Kirshner on disability and Social Security and workers' compensation claims. Just go to the website, sign up, and we'll call you back and schedule the appointment. Also, be sure and check out the free reports on the website. We have a great report on how to save your home from foreclosure. Pat Samasco has a Retiree's Guide to Social Security, and we also have a report on business formations, loans and grants for small businesses in Michigan. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, and Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Nothing provokes panic and fear like the threat of a school shooting. Unfortunately, we've seen a sharp increase in students making copycat threats in order to gain notoriety. I'm Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith. Students, this behavior will not be tolerated. Felony charges will be brought against anyone who threatens the safety of our schools. Parents, please talk to your children and pass along this message. If you threaten our schools, it will cost you your future.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Okay, we're back. So Jenny, Jack decided he's going to shut the business down. It's not because he's afraid of the payroll taxes, because you're working things well for him, but it's because there's just not enough patronage and he's not making his numbers, so he can't stay current on his taxes.
Yeah, well,
what does he do?
Can I just throw one thing out there? What I see every day as the elder law attorney is what he does, or what he did in the past, is try and go borrow a bunch of money from his mom and dad. Whether it's to pay the taxes or to pay
so
the
Jack
fruit
goes,
man,
Mom and Dad.
Mom, I need money. I got the greatest idea. I had a guy come in and says, I'm tired of working for the man. I'm gonna open up my own restaurant, and I'm gonna, Mom's gonna give me all the money to do that. And Mom says, yes, hooray. He's gonna make a go of it. And where's the restaurant? Down in Jamaica. I go, you're never gonna get paid back. And they never get paid back.
Mom better have enough money that she doesn't expect to get that money.
And don't forget, there's a 5-year look back for Medicaid planning. So when the son borrows the money, it's not a loan, it's a gift. The kids
so Mom can screw up her own Medicaid planning.
Yeah. And all the
she's not going to get the money back anyway, because the money's going to go into the restaurant
and
that's already losing money.
She'll never get it
Very rarely do I tell my clients that's a good idea to use it to pay back taxes. If we're on a roll and we're seeing that upswing and maybe something happened where you're going to miss a current tax deposit, that might be the time. Or if we're granted an offer and compromise and the business is going to make much more money in the future.
That's the word
maybe.
I wanted to hear. How does Jack get out from under the taxes? Is the offer and compromise his tool to get rid of the tax?
It possibly could be. So in the instance where the business is open or the business is closed, it depends on his situation. So I think you've moved to Jack is out of business. He's now been assessed trust fund. What does he do?
Yeah, he owes this $120,000.
So as Brian was kind of jumping in earlier with the 13, when Jack comes to my office, the first thing I do is, okay, unfortunately, Chapter 7 is off the table, which is sometimes the quickest solution to get rid of a liability.
Now, it may be a solution to get rid of all of Jack's other liabilities,
right?
But what's going to end up remaining is this
right. So I say, okay, so that's
liability.
Not going to resolve our payroll tax issue. So the next thing I would look to before the Chapter 13 would be the offer and compromise program. An offer and compromise is where the IRS agrees to accept less than is owed in full satisfaction of the liability.
So let's assume Jack has put all of his money into this company. He has no 401k. He has no IRA. He took a second mortgage out on the house, so there's no equity in the home. And now he's basically unemployed.
So the first thing that we do is, and I had a very similar situation to Jack's, and I had a client who was unemployed, and he says, well, I used to own and manage a restaurant. I'm going to wait till I get that great job. Finally, I said to him, just go get whatever job you can get right now. Come back to me. And what we ended up doing would be very similar to Jack's, is then filing the offer and compromise. So the offer and compromise is basically three parts. First is assets. 401k, stocks, bonds, investments, life insurance with a cash value, equity in a vehicle above $3,450, more than 20% equity in your home. He doesn't have any of those things. The second,
so it's zero there.
Zero. Second part is dissipated assets, which means if he decided to play some games and quickly deed his house.
Jack's a straight shooter, played no games.
So then the third part is we look at income and allowable expenses. And
got expenses,
right.
No income.
Well, we have to have some income to file an offer.
He's making $12,000 a year.
So he's gone to work at Trader Joe's. Let's say that's what he's done, and he's
$20,000 a year,
and he's enjoying
nice
it, and that's. The Trader Joe's can be a great place to work, but so he does that. His offer may be $100. I file
$100 to get rid of $120,000 in tax debt?
It's all a math formula. I tell people it's often too good to be true until you've crunched the numbers.
Doesn't matter if you owe $10 million.
It's a computer.
Or $100,000. The amount of the offer is not based on what you owe. It's based upon what you have and what you earn. And in Jack's case, he has nothing. He lost his business. He has no equity in his home. He has no savings. And he's earning virtually nothing, so you can get rid of it for virtually nothing.
Absolutely.
If Jack had $100,000 in his 401k, different story?
Absolutely. Would not work at that point based on what he owes.
And here's the problem. We only have a few minutes left. These national companies out there, you call them up, they tell you it will work, even for the guy like Jack who's got $100,000 in his 401k. They put him into the program. 8 months later, he gets denied on the offer and compromise, and they've overcharged him. They've charged him $7,500 for something that should cost $2,500 and should only be done if you know it works. If it doesn't work, you don't do it. If it works, you do it. Whatever you do, you should talk to Jenny to make sure it's done right. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.